The dispersion law on asylum seekers passed the first chamber, that is the Senate, and the advice is to bring it into motion ASAP. Early February? Maybe. So, problem solved, you would say. Not quite. Hi, my name is Phil and I'm following the Dutch politics after the elections, which took place in November. If you have no idea what I'm talking about in my introduction, you can best see my last vlog, or you can stay tuned since I will try to explain most of it. Just know that at the moment, 4 parties are negotiating to try to form a majority coalition in the second chamber, and that is the parliament. We are talking about the PVV, and for the Netherlands, that is a party far on the right. They are also now the largest party. The VVD, that is a party consisting of conservative liberals and conservatives which lean towards the PVV. The NSA, which is a brand new party, and the NSA focuses on good, transparent and honest government. And then we have the BBB, and that is the Farmer Citizen Party, with the emphasis on farmers. They became big when we had a lot of protesting from farmers. After the VVD in the first chamber, that is the Senate, announced that they changed their opinion and would vote in favor of the dispersion law, it meant that there suddenly was a majority to pass the law. Once past that chamber, the law can be set in motion. However, the leader of the VVD in the second chamber, and that is the parliament, Dylan Hilgers, had previously filed a motion to postpone the vote in the first chamber. However, such a motion can't be filed since it already passed Parliament and they no longer have a say on it. So the motion became a request, but the first chamber, the Senate, continued with their procedure. This then created a problem between Geert Wilders, leader of the PVV in the parliament, and Dylan Hilgers, who we already mentioned, also leader in the parliament, but then for the VVD. Both parties are also part of the negotiations to come to a coalition of parties to gain the majority in the parliament. But let's start at the beginning. What exactly is the dispersion law? Every asylum seeker who comes into the Netherlands needs to get registered. For that we only have one facility, and that is in the northern part of the country. I put up a map and you can see some vague red contours of the village within the yellow circle. After the procedure, they make use of the facility there or get sent to another facility. But then there need to be another facility. And that's not always the case anymore. So a lot of people are coming into that facility in the north and not many are coming out. When immigration went up, for instance because of the Russian-Ukraine war, last year the place got overcrowded and people were forced to sleep outside. That looked like this. A lot of people gathering together outside in front of the gate with no more than a sleeping bag, maybe a tent, and this problem continues till today. Of course, the Netherlands have been working on better facilities in the place itself, but they do still sleep outside, now in tents of the Red Cross. And within the facility, a lot of people are sleeping on chairs. Anything that can be used. Besides that, other temporary facilities are created. Often it is a hotel, a vacation facility, or something different where people can find a warm bed. But they never can stay for long. So they are dragged from one facility to another. A few days here, a few days there. That it is only for a few nights doesn't keep people from demonstrating and protesting against the asylum seekers in their neighborhood nearby. Recently that happened in Kijkduin, and we know about it because Geert Wilders of the PVV visited the place to support the protesters, which is an odd act for somebody who would like to become the next Prime Minister of the Netherlands. Before the dispersion law, and until now, it was the municipality or the city or town, or whatever you like to call it, who decided whether a new facility could be created in their municipality or their town. But as we have seen, this often creates protests from people saying that they would feel unsafe. It means that quite a few places don't have a facility, not even a small one, not one at all. Are you living in a rich town? You are lucky. You don't need to deal with a facility for asylum seekers. At the same time, though, a lot of Dutch people are ashamed of the way how asylum seekers are treated at the moment and need to sleep outside or in a chair. So something needed to give, and it did. The dispersion law gives the Secretary of State, and the Secretary of State is someone who takes on certain tasks of the Minister of a certain department. Here it is about the Department of Justice and Security. So this Secretary of State has the possibility to force cities and towns to take in asylum seekers. The bigger and richer the town is, the more asylum seekers they will need to take in. But then you need to figure out how many each town or city needs to take in, and that is something that will be arranged on the level of the provinces. And we have 12 of those. When that list is ready, the towns and cities get a chance to take in asylum seekers on their own initiative. They get financially compensated for somewhere between 1,000 and 5,000 euros per asylum seeker. I don't know where the difference of 4,000 euros is coming from, but, well, it is there. When that doesn't create enough places for asylum seekers, then municipalities can be forced to do so anyways. So it will take some time before the problem will get solved. As we say it, a lot of water already will have passed the rivers into the sea before we will see any change. Dutch expression. There is a catch, though, or a catch. The motion I talked about to stop the voting in the first chamber on this bill was signed by all four parties who are now talking at the negotiation table to form a new coalition. We don't know it yet, but when they move on as a coalition, or if they move on as a coalition in whatever structure, because that is up for debate, they have a majority in the parliament. That means that they can make a new law to change this law. Of course, that will take some time, and that bill will also need to pass the first chamber, the Senate. The coalition then will need to make sure that all parties in the first chamber are aligned with those in the second chamber to prevent something like this to happen again. there is another advantage for those parties. We already saw that the Secretary of State decides whether force is going to be used, and it is the coalition who decides who that secretary is going to be. It might be that this secretary decides not to use the part of the law where force can be used. However, it does mean that they will need to come up with another solution within a certain amount of time. Parties think they have that solution by creating a new bill to reduce the inflow of the amount of immigrants into the Netherlands. And the PVV would prefer no immigrants at all. The VVD in the First Chamber agrees on the assessment that it would be better to reduce the inflow of immigrants. They also agree that the bill is complex and hard to execute. This is due to the compromises made in the parliament, but they changed their mind because they feel that something needs to happen now, not tomorrow, not the day after tomorrow, but ASAP. The organizations who are responsible for the execution of the law have signaled that they would like for the law to pass. They agree that the law is too complex, but they are now spending their time on finding places to sleep for the asylum seekers 24/7, instead of doing what they should be doing. By the way, a bit of a fun fact and a bit of a complication. Dylan Jezilgus, leader of the VVD in the parliament, is at this moment the minister of that particular department, the Department of Justice and Security. The parliament already changed, but because there is no new cabinet yet, the sitting cabinet is still in charge. So the situation of Dylan Jezilgus is a complicated one. She is leading the department under which this law was proposed, filed a motion against this bill as the new leader of the VVD in the parliament, and saw that the VVD in the Senate passed the bill. It is understandable that the situation for Jezilgus isn't that good at the moment. Geert Wilders of the PVV talked about a big problem when the VVD in the Senate announced that they would approve the bill. He said it needs to be talked about at the table, and he had hoped that it would be solved in a few days. That didn't happen. So Geert Wilders is still complaining and still talking about a big problem. He told journalists so on different occasions throughout the week. There is something you need to understand about the politics in the Netherlands. When a coalition is formed, it normally means that they agree in detail on a whole lot of issues. That means that the parliament can discuss proposals coming from the cabinet, but that those discussions often are in vain. A coalition like that functions as a bloc. Therefore, it is normal that the parties in the Senate follow the decision of the parties in the parliament. Or, to say it differently, they do discuss the proposals and take a stand. Together. The parliament, the party in the parliament, and the party in the Senate. This is not quite how it should work, since both chambers have a different function, but behind doors, well, a lot of things do happen. If we look back to Mark Rutte, previous leader of the VVD in the parliament and the prime minister for 13 years, he never had a problem like this. I heard a journalist reporting that dissident voices were repressed during those days. Looking at it from that perspective, this change might even be a good one. But the party of the VVD is split in liberals and conservatives. In the polling, they are still losing voters. Would elections be held today, the party would again lose seats, half of it to be exact. So there is a clear backlash visible both in the party of the VVD as at the negotiation table. They are still in the phase of investigating whether they can work together to form some sort of coalition, which means that the phase to really negotiate about an agreement still needs to start. We can expect a report in 2 or 3 weeks from the informateur who is facilitating these investigative talks. And I need to say, I am looking forward to that because it will probably bring quite a few answers. Okay, looking forward to that. This was it for now for me. I'm a bit behind due to technical problems, which means I need a new laptop, but you can expect several more posts in the coming week. I hope you found this informative. If so, please give a thumbs up because it always works well, and thank you for listening and see you next time. Goodbye.